how'd you get here?
I'm not gonna hold you, man. I was saving an entire episode to effectively blow my load about Fury Bowser. The biggest thing in this game that they added, the thing that was all over the marketing that everyone was talking about, like, this is so edgy and cool and so excited, but people were saying wild shit about Fury Bowser, okay? Easily the worst fucking mechanic in this entire game, just without a doubt. It's very cool, don't get me wrong, but I think everybody and their mother will agree that, oh my god, he shows up way too often, he appears and does, he's effectively an annoyance for you. Right? He'll just fucking appear like a cockroach and just start crawling along your walls. Except instead of just crawling on your walls, he's also like a cockroach that can breathe fire, right? And also he can't fly. So it's one of those flightless cockroaches that breathes fire, okay? That's what he is. He's a goddamn roach! And he keeps infiltrating my playthroughs. He keeps appearing when I don't want him to, and it's so frustrating, and I'm just scratching at my head and pulling out my hairs because of this fucking guy! Okay, let's actually talk about him like a civilized person. I really don't like Fury Bowser. Cool design, really cool kaiju battle type stuff, love that, super awesome, great idea, but again, he appears far too often, and realistically, the only mechanical depth he adds is, again, being an annoyance, which is fine, that's fine, it's nice to have something else to worry about a little bit while you are interacting with the rest of the map, right? Because if it was just the same thing over and over again, just these platforming challenges, without any type of switch up, I could see it getting a little boring. I think he's a good addition, I think he's a good idea. However, he also serves the purpose of being the only motherfucker in the entire universe that can break some very, very specific blocks, which means you have to sit there and wait for him to appear so that you can break blocks and get the most boring, dumbass fucking cat shines that were ever placed or known to man, bro. Miyamoto had his head up his fucking cheeks when he was making that, bro. These goddamn blocks! Right there. Miyamoto was fucking licking his own ass. I don't know, there was just not a thought between his eyes, dog. There was not a single goddamn thought. Terrible. Terrible. I know some motherfucker is gonna be like, Miyamoto didn't make this one, actually. I'm sure he didn't. I don't... When did he actually take his hands off the Mario series? Wipe his hands clean? Was that like Mario Odyssey? I think that was Mario Odyssey, right? That was like the first game where he finally gave up on raising his child and was like, I'm done with this. He's like, Mario can go fucking deal. I don't want to deal with him anymore. But he can do his own thing. I'm done. I'm fucking done with this. But off track, off topic. Point is, Fury Bowser effectively exists to either A, be an annoyance, or B, break blocks, which means that you have to wait for him, which also makes him an annoyance, and he appears so fucking often that that's also an annoyance. So whenever you see his face, whenever you see these blocks, you remember that he exists, and that he's a mechanic, and that he's a piece of shit, and that you have to go deal with him later, despite the fact that you want to get those cat shines now, and the only way, oh my god, I'm so glad this era of Nintendo that I'm about to talk about is behind us, because holy shit, Amiibo, they're such neat little collectibles, and I own a lot of them, because it's nice to have these little high-quality figures that really didn't cost that much, but the only way you can make Fury Bowser appear without having to just sit there and fucking have one hand on your dick and the other hand on the controller and just wait. The only way is to have an amiibo that you tap onto your fucking Nintendo Switch controller. It has to be a Bowser amiibo, any Bowser amiibo, and then he'll appear or then he'll disappear. They had a $12 paywall for a piece of additional content that was already tacked on top of a re-release. Like... Let's think about that one for a second. That's fucking crazy, dude. How did they get away with that shit? Like, people talked about that with Skyward Sword HD. They were like, oh, this is the fucking worst, man. This fast travel thing, this really good feature that would have actually benefited the base game a lot, you can't actually use it unless you have the Loft Wing. And, like, they got so much shit for that. In fact, that was kind of the last time I can really remember them doing anything that was, like, insanely fucking annoying with the amiibo, something that actually felt intrusive to the base game. I think that was the last time they did something like that. I think because they got shat on so much for such a terrible, disgusting, evil decision. But This game came out in that era. This game came out in that era where, you know, Amiibo were this big thing they were still trying to push, and thank fucking God that's not a problem anymore. But seriously, a massive issue, because you just have this huge, annoying fucking dude, and then the only way to get rid of him is by paying 12 extra bucks to go and get a Bowser amiibo so you can tap it onto your fucking controller. Stupid shit. Really, really fucking stupid shit. And Nintendo was just filled to the brim with those fuck-ass amiibo ideas. Dude, they genuinely, it peaked in Odyssey when they just gave you, like, small little costumes. Because, yeah, I mean, you're effectively paying 12 bucks for a costume and a small toy, right? So, like, it's still kind of expensive, it's still kind of pricey, but you didn't need any of that shit. You really didn't, and you didn't get that much out of it. Like, I got through my entire Mario Odyssey playthrough without being like, fuck, I really wish I had this amiibo so I could get this outfit. God, oh, how will I ever live without a really poorly reskinned Waluigi? Oh, fuck. Like, you know, but this game had it rough. This game had it very, very, very rough. I actually don't think Base 3D World got any updates that required any amiibo use. I think it was genuinely just this, which is, it's weird, man. I feel like if they were gonna put their whole pussy into the amiibo thing, like, I'm very surprised they didn't dip their toes into the other side of the pond as well and be like, yep, alright, we're also gonna add extra amiibo shit to 3D World, so now you can get, I don't know, like costumes or something in 3D World or some dumb shit like that. But they didn't do that. Thank God. So, like, okay. I know I've done a lot of bitching this episode, right? A lot of bitching about what Fury Bowser is and how he doesn't work and why he doesn't work. So how do you actually fix that, right? That's a really hard question. And I don't have a perfect answer for it, but I think perhaps a combination of what we currently have and a combination of what the amiibo allows is probably the best kind of course of action for this, right? Where you could make it so that, like, first half of the playthrough, right? You have to deal with Fury Bowser appearing everywhere, and goddamn it, he's popping in and doing X, Y, and Z, this, that, or the other, whatever, right? And then, halfway through, once you're done with that, right? Once you're done with dealing with him just popping up and being a fucking nuisance, then you have the option to somehow you know, make Fury Bowser disappear or reappear at will. So effectively what the amiibo allows you to do, where you can, like, run to a certain location or something and be like, alright, fuck off, Fury Bowser, I need you out now. I need you gone immediately. Or you can fucking pop in and be like, alright, Fury Bowser, I need you now for these specific blocks. Pop in and you're not gonna disappear until I get these blocks thrown away, and then I go back to that whatever structure it was and then make you disappear. It's not like a perfect way to fix the issue, I feel. But it's very much better than the current setup, which is just, you kind of deal with him, and it's really cool at first, and then eventually he starts just appearing like this, and just fucking your butthole, and being really annoying. He also places these blocks. That's like another interesting part of what he does. It's just like slight alterations on the platforming. I think that's a neat idea. It's just, it's so unfortunate that such a cool concept becomes so unbelievably frustrating the deeper that you go into the game, because at a certain point you get used to him, and the way that you interact with a lot of his mechanics are just fucking boring, and it, like, he doesn't add anything after a certain point. About the halfway point, when I was almost done 100%ing this, or when I was halfway through 100%ing this game, that's when I was like, I need this man gone. I need this motherfucker, I want him removed from the game entirely. Like, it did not take long, maybe like 2 to 3 hours max, for me to be like, holy shit, what were they thinking? Like, what were they thinking when they decided to put him in here and then just didn't have any way for you to, at will, spawn him or despawn him? Let me fucking hit this guy with a baseball bat, fling him to another stratosphere so I don't have to think about him for the next 5 hours. Or, like, some way, some better way that you can make sure that he does not appear. Like, oh, maybe you could do this. Okay, Brain Blast, Jimmy Neutron, Brain Blast, right? I feel like maybe what you could do is you could have it so when you collect a cat shine, at any point, it'll add to this counter that you can see, right? Of how many cat shines are, like, holding him at bay or whatever. So you can have, like, what, 4 cat shines, yada, 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 and then they'll slowly deplete, right? Obviously not the number of cat shines you actually have collected, but, like, whatever number is holding Fury Bowser back, right? That slowly depletes until, bam, no more left, then he appears, right? And then you go back to that cycle where, as you continue to collect cat shines while he's not there, you'll continue to build up the amount of time that you can go and collect more cat shines, and like that could be a cool gameplay loop. You see what I'm saying? Where like the better you play, the faster you play, the less you have to deal with him as a hazard, right? I think that's a cool idea. I don't know. I'm sure there are limitations to how that would work, but that would be kind of neat. And then they're like, to kind of avoid the issue of having to wait, I think having a structure that could spawn Fury Bowser and kind of get him to go through his whole song and dance, that would be great. I just like, there's so much wrong with him, and I don't think I've seen a single person talk about him as a mechanic and say literally anything nice, which is so unfortunate because it's Bowser's Fury, man. He's the big giant selling point, and I'm glad that like the rest of the game is just so solid that I kind of don't care that the main gimmick is kind of fucking dog shit. Like, I'm really happy that, you know, the platforming, the world design, everything, right, is so solid. And the way that you interact with the world, with power-ups, and like, it's so cool, right? I'm so glad that this entire game functions well and like it should, and it's just fun to play, and it requires a little bit more interesting, intricate interactions than like Mario Odyssey, and like, I'm so glad that the rest of this game made up for that massive fucking L that is Fury Bowser. Bury Bowser? Or whatever the fuck was trying to come out of my mouth there. I have no idea what it was. I kind of don't want to know. But genuinely, it's really unfortunate that he is kind of existing as he is, right? They could have done so much better. There's so much potential for him as a creature, la criatura. But they fucked it up. They fumbled it. By the way, at this point, you might also be starting to notice a little bit of a trend that every single island is following. It's very much, you go around, you collect 5 thingamajigs, and then you get to the top and you get an extra little fucking cat shine. And that's pretty much it. There's no, like, hidden cat shines throughout other than these little cat shine shards. Not a problem. Really not a problem at all. I think it's fine, especially for an experience such as this, where it's just so short. You don't really get tired of that gameplay loop too quickly. It's not something that ends up feeling dull, or ends up feeling like they could have done better, or you could have had more to experience. Where like, okay, I know I've been shit talking a lot of Mario Odyssey. Let me cook, right? Mario Odyssey does have some moons that they feel like repeated content. I think, again, the big one that everyone always talks about, the kick in the rock shit. You know, I know that's a dead horse and we continue to fucking beat that thing. But genuinely, I think that that's a really good example of how having a bunch of the same type of thing over and over and over again can be really damaging to the quality of that thing. If there were like 2 of those, yeah, I don't think people would fucking love it, but I also don't think people would despise it to the degree that they do, right? I guess like the more content of the game it makes up, right? The more content of the game that one type of gameplay mechanic, gameplay style takes up, the more people are going to get frustrated with it if it's not turned on its head. So what I'm trying to say is that there's there's not that much content in this, right? And the fact that we kind of have the same repeating structure over and over again from island to island doesn't really get the chance to be annoying, right? You have to have a reoccurring mechanic be annoying in a game that's as short as this. It has to be Fury Bowser levels of annoying. It has to be so fucking frustrating that it's something you can't avoid, you can't ignore, right? Like, it's fine. TLDR, every single island follows the same structure, but you're interacting with it in a different way because you're using a different power-up, and like there's a lot of cool shit going on that kind of switches up the vibe. And even though you are doing very much the same thing over and over and over and over again, the experience is so short that it realistically does not impact the experience negatively, in my opinion. I think it actually works out pretty well. Also, check this shit out. I fucking love not having fall damage, man. I love it so much. I know fall damage has its purpose, and there are games that do it really well, and, you know, there's a lot of Sonic-like games that add fall damage that are trying to kind of make sure that you can't fly over shit, and like there's a lot of reasons to have fall damage. It's so nice not having it. Because you just fucking jump off anywhere, man. You can jump off anywhere and long jump really far, and it's just fun as shit, dude. I got a lot of fun out of that in Odyssey too. Oh my god, that might be part of the reason people like New Donk City so much. If there was fall damage in that game, I genuinely think people would fucking hate that stage. But the fact that you can just leap off anywhere and have an amazing... It's like fucking Spider-Man, dude. I actually haven't beaten that game, but it's like Spider-Man, bro. It's fucking dope, dude. Like, I like it so much. It's... I'm getting off track. Fury Bowser as a boss fight, I never really mentioned. I think that is very cool. I like it. The kaiju battles are interesting, and they do a really good job of making these repeated boss battles not feel fucking boring. And that's usually an issue that Mario games have. They'll have boss fights that are just not interesting or very repeated. Mario Wonder even had a lot of these issues despite being really good, where the bosses would just be repeated or not interesting at all, or like there were issues, right? This one, I feel like, doesn't suffer too much from that repeating syndrome, where Bowser does do a lot of new things. Like, in this one, he's doing a little spinny spin on his shell, and he'll spin dash at you, and it's fucking cool. Whereas he didn't do that at all in the first one. And yes, there are repeated things, but it feels like you're kind of culminating your knowledge into one penultimate battle that will end the experience. And that's really cool. I like that a lot. I think that's one of the few things they did well with Fury Bowser outside of the design. And I think, you know, him existing as this kind of really cool big fat boss you gotta build up to beat, that's also a really cool idea. There's a lot of stuff that I think was technically going right for Fury Bowser, a lot of stuff that I think made him just like seem cool, and the experience that you get with having to worry about him, especially, oh my god, early on, fuck, Fury Bowser was cool, man. I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. I fucking love this game. Fucking peak Mario has returned. This is the best thing since sliced bread. And, you know, him being badass and cool and these big kaiju fights and everything, they kind of, coded my perception of this fucking dog shit ass mechanic. And I didn't notice it was dog shit until later. That's kind of an interesting thing that like a lot of people go through. You kind of have to think about when you're rating a game and talking about the quality of it, right? You have to think about what you're gonna feel later, right? And I know that sounds very stupid, but especially when you're like reviewing things or you're putting out like a very quote unquote definitive statement about it, right? You gotta think about, will this get annoying? Which is something that not a lot of people do, and I think that's why you get a lot of conversations online about games like Tears of the Kingdom is a really good example, where people really could not say anything negative about that game forever because people were meat riding it so much. But then later on, after people let it simmer, it became more acceptable to realize the faults of the game.